Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our retro throwback review of the Nikon Coolpix S202. This is a digital point-and-shoot camera which was released by the company back in late 2008, and today you can find it secondhand on Amazon or eBay for about 40 to 50 bucks. At that price, it's not a bad buy just because it offers still respectable image quality and also a very solid construction that's designed out of an aluminum shell, whereas a lot of Nikon's more budget-oriented cameras today are made completely out of plastic or polycarbonate or soft touch rubber. Otherwise, you can see here from a design perspective, it also looks fairly modern. From the screen on the back, which is fairly generous in terms of the size as well as the control layout, it's always fairly ahead of its time when it was first put on the market, which we do like. So taking a closer look at the design next, on the very top here you have access to that standard xenon flash, which is very bright, allows you to illuminate darker subjects and environments. And here we have access to a 3x optical zoom. So it no longer has the most advanced sensor on the market. It also wasn't the most advanced when it first came out, but it still does a decent job as long as you don't have to stretch too far, let's say across a stadium for doing some sports shooting or graduation shots. You should be just fine. There's also access to a loudspeaker on the front, and it has a pretty clean overall look to it. There is a lanyard strap on the left-hand edge. The very top features access to a 2-stage camera shutter key, so you tap on it once to focus your shot, and then again press on it down to capture your image. There's also a dedicated power on-off switch with an LED light. There's a bit of branding going on, and finally all the ports on the bottom give you access to a standard tripod mount for attaching it for more stability as well as for self-portraits. There's also a standard port for AV out that comes included in the box. It connects to a composite RGB cable as opposed to, let's say, HDMI. So that's one of the differences. You don't have as much of a high-resolution output directly. There's also a latch for the battery, which is a proprietary charging battery, uses lithium ion, and there's also a full-size SD card slot which supports up to 16 gigabytes of storage. The front here features access to about a 2.6-inch TFT LCD display, which again is fairly large for a small point-and-shoot camera. And again, even the back and all the elements here is still made out of this one piece of aluminum, so it feels incredibly well constructed and made in the hand. It feels very durable, and I think that's still going to continue to last throughout the years. There's access to a 5-way navigation toggle that also allows you to turn features such as flash, the self timer, the white balance modes, as well as landscape shots on and off. There's also buttons that takes you through the various modes, zoom keys for zooming in, zooming out, as well as a grip control on the side there, delete keys, menu keys, as well as a view back key for looking back your images and recorded videos directly on this as kind of this pseudo media player. So taking a quick look at the interface next, after we tap on the power key, you can see that the boot up speed here is quite fast, and it defaults at that 8 megapixel resolution. You have a basic info about the ISO, and then after a few seconds it goes away just to give you a better, larger view of your surroundings. So if we're going to do a quick sample shot test of a piece of paper, for instance, I can tap on this lightly just to get it in focus, and when I'm satisfied, I'm just going to capture the shot completely. You can see that shutter speed is fairly respectable after about 2 seconds. It then processes the image and then goes back to the viewfinder for you to take your next shot. Of course, there are things such as burst mode shots that allows you to capture more per second. So all those things can be programmed and works fairly well as far as speed is concerned. So playing back and looking at the image that we took over here, you can see that it actually does a pretty good job. It washes out your images slightly since we are so close to the subject, and we have the automatic flash turned on, and it's a very close piece of paper. But you can see here that the text still remains fully legible, and the colors and everything are very well balanced and saturated. Slightly on the warmer side of the spectrum, but all in all really not bad, and you can even blow this up, I would say, on a computer screen and still view it back with impressive clarity. Everything such as zooming, cropping, viewing back your images and videos is all quite swift and responsive. There's also access to a microphone on here, which allows you to still record video files with sound, although again it's mainly going to be used as a camera as opposed to a camcorder. I say that because by today's standards it definitely doesn't record anything like HD video, so very low res video files, but as far as picture taking it still does a very good job. As far as battery life is concerned, it does use that rechargeable lithium ion cell, which I think is better than, let's say, standard AA or AAA batteries, especially in the long run. However, I use this for about 3 to 4 weeks, and I had to charge it about once or twice in between, so that's not really bad. It takes only about 2 hours to completely charge the battery up with the provided charger, so that's a decent battery performance in my opinion. So taking a closer look, if we capture something else, perhaps that doesn't have any words on it, perhaps let's say a phone, and I want to zoom all the way out, let's see how it fares. Let's turn off the flash on this particular shot just to see if we can get a slightly better image. So it seems like here we can tap on this, so it seems like this one is actually turning that flash mode on. Here we can turn it off, tap on it again to focus. If we want to zoom in a little bit, let's say just to the front here. Tap on this once, and there we go. It takes a little bit longer to process in this instance just because our surroundings are slowly getting dark. The sun is now setting, so that's why it's struggling a little bit more. Without the assistance of the flash, you can see here that the details that you get out of your image definitely becomes a bit more blurry, and it finds it a bit more difficult to properly focus. But again, this is mostly under a setting sun, so it's getting, again, quite dark. But if you're outdoors, it still does quite well as far as landscape shots are concerned. You don't get more of these fancy tricks such as an accelerometer that you might get from some competing models at the time, but again, this all-aluminum shell is what kind of set this particular camera apart from the competition. That construction quality really was top-notch, and again, the operation and things in terms of the processing power is all quite swift for a point-and-shoot camera. So anyways, guys, this has been a quick video look back as well as a quick throwback overview of the Nikon Coolpix S202 digital point-and-shoot camera. Even today as a used camera, I think it still will fare pretty well for most people's uses if you're looking for something slim, something that offers a great build quality, and you don't want something that really breaks the bank. Of course, it doesn't have the largest optical zoom nor the highest resolution count by today's standards, but it still works very well. Thanks for watching this retro review here at OS Review.